Do, 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 do. What do I have here today? Leju Holdings Limited American Depository Shares. And that is LEJU on the New York Stock Exchange. Sector financials, industry, real estate services. And I'm still dragging down my IPO 2014 alumni list in the L's, and this one caught my attention. Monthly candle chart, 2014, boom, tweezer tops, and that's all she wrote, guys. Stage 2, giving some signs, maybe, nah, stage 4, sorry, no, stage 4, and possibly right now turning around. With that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 month base. So here it is. Monthly defined breakout confirmed. Get out of the way. Get out of the way. What's my target? Always see where the higher trend is. So if we're trading, we're doing standby sign on the weekly, go up one trend, one time frame, apply any framework, get see if the move is in your direction on that small time frame. So now you have what I call top to bottom approach, or what Stan refers as making sure you're in harmony with the higher trend. It's going to help you. So pullbacks on smaller time frames, if you're with the trend going upwards, pullbacks will most likely get dragged up with that higher time frame. They won't be considered reversals. They won't break down. So always have higher chances if you're in line with the higher time frame. You could always go counter trend, but after that, as soon as you hit some resistance on the higher time frame, then it's going to bring you down. Not always, but so it's en route to target. Hasn't quite reached it yet. So at this level here, probably going to hit some resistance right here, 250 level. But what we want to establish is the higher prevailing trend. And there it is, guys. It's starting. Look at that, man. Ichimoku cloud, if you're under the red cloud, downtrend, 30-moving average going downwards, downtrend. And look at that, the Mansfield indicator on tradingview.com. It's awesome. It's not just that you're comparing to the SPX and you're below the zero line. It's going to highlight it red if the price action is below 30-moving average and if it's declining. Those are some of Stan's criterias. I'll load it up into one. All you have to do now is look for volume. Make sure you're above Ichimoku defined resistance, or use another mechanism to define that resistance. Make sure you're not cheating yourself. And if you're in line with the higher trend, check. There's one last thing we're going to have to do, guys. It's going to be the forest to tree approach. Index, sector, industry. See how Leju fits in there. See that green? 30-moving average going upwards or above the 30-moving average, overperforming the SPX. That is awesome. But we're not going to enter yet. This I think this is like what I call the embryonic breakout, where it's starting. That volume here is starting to pick up, but we're not quite out of the Ichimoku cloud. So if I use my imagination, and you see we had that monthly defined target here, could be having a pullback here to the breakout line, and then going up. So when you have those type of setups, if you enter close to here, let's do some more lines. So the Mansfield might start underperforming the SPX and then going back upwards. So this zone here, when you start having that V here, you look up, you're probably going to have that V that's starting to go back upwards. And that's what Stan calls the initial pullback, where you could enter, breakout, the initial pullback after the initial breakout. If the volume is going down while this is happening, this is considered healthy. It's not a sell-off. It's a price going down on low volume. Then you'll be able to buy on the way back up here. Once you have that lull, starts going back up, then you could buy. Put the sell stop below here or below 30-week average. And if you want to really, really be safe, the investor's way below the pattern, the launching pattern. So you reduce your risk, you reduce you increase your, you lower your risk to reward ratio the further away you put your sell stop. You still lose the same amount. Your position size to have 1% of your NAV, but since that position size has to be lower to not lose more than 1%, then as it goes up, you have less leverage to amplify the gains. That's all where it's played, guys. The more you're able to time the market and get as close as the safest low as possible without just trying to catch a falling knife, the better your risk reward ratio is going to go up. And that's a pretty good technique to do it over and over and over again. Initial breakout, you know there's a thrust, there's power to it. You know the monthly candle, there's a thrust, there's a power to it. Pullbacks are natural, never goes up in a straight line. There's pullbacks all the time, but this time you're playing a pullback where you have a higher confidence that that pullback will not be a correction, not be a reversal, but it'll just be a pullback and a great entry. And that's where the hardest part is, the psychology of it. If it pulls back, usually within 1 to 3 months, and it pulls back 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and then people start panicking. It's not a pullback, it's crash, it's crap. And stock twits and Twitter, you start reading news. Nobody's going to buy here on this pullback unless you do stage analysis and you've seen this pattern over and over, and you know that this pullback has a higher chance of success than just regular pullbacks that are in a downtrend. Because a pullback in a downtrend, well, it's going to keep going down most likely. A pullback in an uptrend, most likely it's going to get dragged up. Everything has to be in line in that way. And the hardest part is probably the psychology of it, to be able to pull the trigger and buy here and get that edge. Or else you buy on the breakouts with everybody's else euphoria. But most of the time you've noticed it's burst, and then after that, sideways move or pull back and then go back up. So you think you're doing great at the beginning, but if you don't anticipate that there's a pullback usually, then you're just going to suffer and get disappointed. And those are all emotions. You got to wipe that out. If you get in on a breakout, fine, but expect it to pull back close towards the breakout line, and you could add some more position there. All right. Cool. So that looks pretty good. We're just ahead of the curve for Leju. I just want to go check. Let me check the index. New York Stock Exchange. What are we dealing with? Monthly. Okay, so this is, I'm always going to leave my marks. This is the high I've identified. We're still running 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months later. We still haven't overcame that high for the New York Composite. Monthly defined breakout here. Still an uptrend. No bailing out signs yet. Sector. Financials. Still in stage 2. Here they had some scary spot right here below 12-month moving average. Still going uptrend. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Still 8 months. We haven't overcame those highs. Tick tock, tick tock. Do 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 do. And industry. What did we say the industry was? Real estate. Real estate. What is that looking like? Oh, that was scary here. 12-month moving average, very choppy, but right now above. Is that a breakout? Looks like we have the monthly defined breakout last month, pulling back right now towards breakout line. We'll have to see how that settles. And here it is. So that's how the force to tree approach for Leju, where it's sitting. There's one more thing we could do, is compare. Let me just check again. Info. Real estate services. Okay, maybe I didn't grab the good industry. Real estate. Real estate services index. Okay. Real estate services sub-index. All right. That one I like. So that one looks a little less mature than the other one I was looking at. Still 12-month moving average going upwards, pulling back right now. And still in the uptrend, not the ideal of situations, but the goal is right now. It's a final check. I want to see how it's doing against its peers in that sector. I'm going to go to Stan. Mansfield. And, ooh, nice. So this is one of the leaders, guys. Not performing its peers in its sector. So it's the cream of the crop. Inshallah, the sector, the chart didn't look as good as Leju does. So that means Leju is making it, dragging it towards the top, making it look better. Might get dragged a little bit by the rest of the field. We'll see how that plays out. So this is what I'm seeing right now in the cards. Until the rest of the field catches up and they all push together, this might be in the works, a healthy pullback. So that's me covering Leju from A to Z. All right, guys. See ya. Ciao.